Good
Good morning.
morning.
Live from the Frog Studios of
That's right.
Raleigh, Texas.
Happy Veterans Day to you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for your service,
Thank you for your support.
your 22 years of service,
It was a good
and
time.
the 9.5 of being on call
Yeah.
so
yeah,
far.
almost done. Almost done. I was telling the kids last night how 30's right around the corner.
Is it hard to imagine that it's been almost
Yes.
30 years since you enlisted?
So one of my worst memories is when I took a train from Jefferson City to St. Louis on July 5th. And I'd never left. I'm the baby. You know this.
Yes, we all are aware.
And so I didn't see my mom, but I know what my mom was doing. And I don't know if my sisters were there. I don't even know who all went. But I know mom and dad took me to the train station
Yeah.
with my recruiter.
Yeah.
Gave me a train ticket and
Off you went.
hope you make it.
See the world.
Man, I was from Podunk, Missouri. I've never been anywhere by myself ever.
Okay, we're going to get into a little bit of your story in just a second.
All right.
But for the listening audience who, over the course of my 27 years in pastoring, there is great misunderstanding between Memorial Day and Veterans Day. Could you help clear that up for us,
It's
please?
easy.
Well, I know that, but
Veterans Day is for the living. Memorial Day is for the lost.
right.
For those, whether they're memorialized because they were lost in combat,
Yep.
they were lost
Yep.
in service, they've come and gone, and since then you've memorialized
So
them.
we don't have the living veterans stand at Memorial Day because it's not for them.
Right.
It's for the dead.
Right. And a lot of guys that are still active duty won't stand for Veterans Day because they have Armed Forces Day.
Okay.
So, and they don't take advantage of like Veterans Day, all the restaurants want to give you a free meal.
Right.
Every place wants to give you
Hey,
a free
and that's
haircut.
not a bad thing. I mean, it
Um,
is.
I appreciate it. I've never taken advantage of it,
Right.
but I appreciate the sentiment.
So we're eating lunch today.
I won't.
You won't.
I won't. No, because
You just feel people have made a greater sacrifice than you, and they deserve it more than you. That's how you feel.
yes.
Yeah.
I know.
I knew that's how you'd feel.
I've seen well, we won't go into bad stories.
But there is the difference. When is Armed Forces Day?
I don't even remember. It's like
Because you're not
April?
currently active, so now you've moved to the Veterans Day.
Yeah, I'm a veteran. And we don't really celebrate Armed Forces Day the way we May 15th.
How was your Chief Petty lunch the other day?
It was really good to see a bunch. Gosh, it was like a blast from the past.
I bet.
Just to see all these old guys. And now I'm an old guy.
Now
And I
you're
had
one of
these-
those old guys.
I am one of those old guys.
Old salt.
And just to catch up, and I had one of the selectees text me last night. This is Chief season. Not normally Chief season. Chief season is usually wrapped up mid-September.
Yeah, but COVID.
But because of COVID, everything got pushed back. So their season will end mid-November.
Sure.
And so she texted me last night because I have a cadence that I always called a marching cadence when I always called. I was the cadence caller for my division,
Okay.
for my class. And so they know this cadence. No one remembers it except for me. They kind of know how it goes, but they've never sung it unless they sang it after I sang it.
Right.
So I sang it for her last night, and I think that's kind of what got me a little scratchy.
Yeah.
I wasn't warmed up.
Wasn't warmed up,
prepared.
ready to go. Yeah. Yeah. Wasn't prepared.
And to call cadence, you have to sing cadence from your belly, right? You can't. And I sing it from up here.
Yeah. Which was,
Not healthy.
yeah. You were struggling vocally anyway. Then you
Yes.
go and do this.
Yeah, I got a little bit of a head cold and some congestion going on.
fun
so-
for you. Fun for
Yeah,
you.
good times.
Good
Big fun. Big fun. So yeah, I go up there last Thursday, and we got to recognize one of our own. The guy joined the Navy in 1971.
Okay.
He's retiring this year.
50 years in.
Yeah, he's
Wow.
he did his 20. and then he started working on the base here
Okay.
for 30 years.
Is that normal?
Sometimes for a lot of guys it is.
Okay.
A lot of guys still work up at the base. Yeah.
So I understand very little. I'm a military family in the sense that dad served.
Okay.
I didn't serve. His dad didn't serve. He enlisted in the Air Force, and he went to Vietnam. He enlisted before he got drafted.
Right.
So, and he did a tour over there. Now I understand that there's the enlisted cycle and there's the officers cycle.
Yes.
You came in through the enlisted cycle.
Yes.
So is Chief Petty the highest you could have attained in enlisted?
Master Chief is, yeah.
Which is one above what you had.
Two above.
Two above what you had.
Yeah. Chief, Senior Chief, Master Chief. So
Okay.
7, 8, 9.
Okay.
And
But
there's one E10 in the Navy, Master Chief Federalist in the Navy, but
Right.
there's only one of those guys.
There's only one of those
Yeah.
guys. But officers, where do they start? They're on they're O1.
O1, yeah. You
But
can go enlisted officer.
but O1 and E1 are still not the same.
Oh, no. Drastically different.
So where would O1, if you had to compare the two, where does O1 respectfully start?
O1.
E11?
Well, no. Because
It is different.
one of the primary roles of the Chief Petty Officer is to train junior officers,
Right.
O1 to O3.
Oh.
And so they're normally like, they do grunt work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And they go fly whenever they need to, at least in aviation world.
Right.
They're usually O2s by the time they get to the squadron. And so they're lieutenants. We'll see a lot of, we call them butter bars. They're just ensigns or O1s.
Right.
And they have a gold single bar. And then once they make lieutenant, they get a lieutenant JG, junior grade.
Is that O2?
Yeah, they get a silver single bar. And the
Okay.
lieutenant's 2 bars, and the lieutenant commander's a gold oak leaf, and then a silver oak leaf, and then an eagle, and then
Right.
big stars.
And then you start getting stars.
Right. 1, 2, 3, and 4 stars. And so, yeah, O1 to O3, they don't answer to the chief, but they get a lot of direction from the chief. And I'm not sure how other branches work because they're much inferior to the Navy. And I can say that because they know that. It's fun.
How does the Army get where they need to go if they don't ride on a Navy ship?
Definitely Marines, because the Marines can't do anything on their own. They just celebrated their birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, USMC. No, we ride each other, but when the push comes to shove,
It's a brotherhood.
it's one great gigantic brotherhood.
I mean, it's kind of like, I can, it's like Sam can talk bad about his sister, but don't let anybody else talk bad about his sister.
Exactly.
So y'all can talk bad about each other,
If
but
you
don't let
haven't-
an outsider
If
start.
you haven't served, don't start talking trash.
Right. And I haven't served. My dad served, but I didn't serve.
My dad served. My brother served. They were both chair force. I don't hate them for it. They couldn't get into the Navy because they weren't smart enough.
Ouch.
I kid. My dad was the smartest dude
Ouch.
I knew. My dad. So every morning, my dad would sit and do a crossword puzzle
Okay.
in pen
With confidence.
because he's that smart. When Sudoku came out, he's like, "Oh, this is easy." He's solving expert ones.
Oh my gosh.
He had the biggest math brain of anyone I knew. Should have been an engineer, but alas, he did not.
Alas, he did not.
And then Bill, I'm not sure what Bill did. He was
He doesn't know either.
well, we had a name for him in the Navy, but we don't.
Anyway.
It was civil engineering.
Okay.
So plumbers, electricians.
Right.
He was a handyman, I guess.
Yeah. Who can now go out and make $42 an hour.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not a bad gig.
Right.
So if you join the military, I 100% think that you should.
I mean, there was a moment that we were when our daughter was seriously contemplating medicine. We were really talking about the possibility of going through a military option
Oh yeah.
because I mean and it's a win-win. They
It
want to
is.
train them up and they'll pay for it.
Yeah.
And then you serve 1 for 1. Okay, but still, by the time you're 32, you've done your duty and you have no medical bill. You have no medical school costs.
Yeah. It's not even
mean,
that long.
I don't think that, or a 4 and 4. Anyway, by the time she's 30, 32, could have been done.
By the time she's 26.
And debt free. Well, no, because medical school is going to be after college.
Well, you can go to school.
Plus residency that you'll do. I guess you do your residency during your 4 in.
Well, you can
But
get
still.
you can get a lot done while you're active duty.
Oh, yeah. And we really thought about that because we thought, hey, why not? I mean,
I was going to do 4 and get out. It wasn't until I was at home on leave. A squadron in Washington, D.C. had just gotten the axe. We're getting shut down. I was like, all right, that's it. I'm going home. I'm done. And then
right.
my maintenance chief got out my leave paper, called me and said, hey, I got a job for you in New Orleans. It's on P3s. I need to know if you want it.
But you were done.
I was done. And I was gonna be able to get out early because my squadron was decommissioning.
Right.
It wasn't time for me to go anywhere. It would have been cheaper for them to send me home than to send me to another duty station.
Mm-hmm.
And so ADC Ray Cangelosi is the reason I stayed in the Navy. Because he called me and said, hey, number one, he affirmed me, hey, you're good at what you do.
Yeah.
You have a bright future. Take this job and excel. I just made E5. I just gotten meritoriously promoted to E5. So the rest is history. Went to New Orleans, spent 9 years down there. Left right before Katrina, went to Philadelphia, where every squadron that I've been in, except one, has been decommissioned. So,
ouch.
Yeah. I was in P3s, and there's no more P3. It's all P8 now.
Okay. No, that's a plane.
Yeah, it's P8 Poseidon. It's an anti-submarine warfare.
Okay.
It's a Boeing 737 that chases submarines.
Okay. The P3 is?
The P3 is a 4-engine turboprop that flies slow and low and does a really good job of catching submarines. The P8,
not so good. Just newer and flashier.
It can't fly slow.
So how does it?
And it can't fly low. So you have to rely on
the radar and the tech.
Electronics.
Yeah.
The P3's mission changed a lot. We went from ASW, and after the Cold War, they put a big camera on it, and we started chasing drug runners in the Caribbean and in the Gulf Coast and off the coast of Florida.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of drugs coming in and out, and we did a lot to squelch that.
Mm-hmm. If you're just joining us, it's Veterans Day, and we have one of the dads is a veteran, so we are just talking a little bit about that. So dad and brother are Air Force.
I guess Dad was in the Army too. I didn't know Dad was in the Army.
But you chose Navy.
Because the Navy recruiter got me first.
Okay.
He came to school.
Okay.
BM2 Newman. I'll never forget him. Second class bosun's mate. And he said, hey, join the Navy. All right.
All right.
He saw my ASVAB score, right? I wrote a pretty good ASVAB. Went to the map station. It's just processing in. They said, you have any job you want? I said, I want to work on airplanes. He says, okay, how about aviation electricians, mate?
There you go.
I said, sounds cool. What do they do?
Work on airplanes.
I don't know. He didn't know what they did because he was probably a yeoman or something.
Right.
I don't know who was at the MEP station giving out orders, but little did I know that I was in the reserves. I was active duty, but I was on the active duty side of the reserves, Navy reserves. They were called TARS back then. training and administration of reservists. Then they went to FTS, full-time support, and then just within the last couple months, they went back to TAR because it's time for somebody to get a new title and a new award. That's the way things change.
Okay.
The admiral wants admiral's got a, anyway. It's very political.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get to A school, which is where my aviation electrician school. And I did pretty well in class. I stayed focused and wanted to be top of the class because if you get top of the class, you get to pick your orders first. You get to pick.
That's an incentive. That's an incentive.
I mean, when you're talking Hawaii or Afghanistan.
Yeah, let's move up to the top.
Look, I'm going to go to Hawaii.
Right, exactly. Of the two, especially in the 80s.
I was number
90s.
3 in the class. I think it went Hawaii, San Diego, 4. I was like, what? I was 3rd in the class. Yeah, but you're a TAR. I said, I'm a what? I didn't know
that you changed.
I didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
What do you mean I'm a TAR? Well, you don't get to pick orders. They just give you orders. You fill out a little dream sheet.
What kind of thing is that?
It's a reserves thing. So you put your three highest where you want to go and your 3 lowest where you want to go. My 3 highest were San Diego, Dallas, and Hawaii. My 3 lowest were New Orleans, Washington, D.C., and somewhere else.
And you've been at both of those.
Right. I went to Washington, D.C. first,
Oh, wow.
which I don't recommend for anyone. I stayed out of D.C. I stayed on the Maryland side.
Yeah.
Virginia side was crazy.
Yeah.
Did my tour there. Like I said, Ray kept me in the Navy.
You were done because of where you were.
Yeah, I was at mom and dad's house, and he called, and I don't think I was home, but mom called. I was at Joanna's mom and dad's, so mom called over there, said, "Hey, some guy named Chief called." I said, "Okay, Chief who?" She couldn't say his name, so I went home, called him back. He talked me into staying in the Navy. Thanks, Ray. I'm going to tag him in this later.
Yeah.
And then, I went to New Orleans. Had a great time there.
Even though it had been one of your lowest.
Right. Well,
at the beginning.
See, we talked last night about what you want versus what God wants for you.
That's right.
So,
yep.
Had I not gone to New Orleans, I wouldn't have got involved in First Baptist Bell Chase. I wouldn't have worked with the youth group. I wouldn't have known Johnny Blackman. I would have sat in a service.
You wouldn't have been here.
Where he said, if you need Jesus, raise your hand.
Right.
My hand wouldn't have gone up. Now, God has a way of making things happen.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
But being in that place at that time with that support system.
But there's a level of divergent roads that can happen.
Yes, there are. There are. But God's plan is so much different than our plan.
Sure.
I was going to get out. I was done.
Oh, sure. Right. Right.
God said, give me 19 more years. I got a spot for you in Texas.
I have a plan.
You see, because if I had retired, if I hadn't retired, if I had just gotten out, I'm in Missouri doing who knows what.
Right. Right.
Living in the same town I grew up in, which wouldn't be good.
No.
It never is.
Right.
I would have never made it here. And so we wouldn't have Dads with Coffee.
Right.
God has a plan.
So if you like Dads with Coffee, think of Ed.
Thank Ray Cangelosi. Yeah, thank Ray Cangelosi. Meritoriously, yeah. Yeah, it's called it was called a CAP program, Command Advancement Program. So I made E4 quick. It was pretty much get your name right on the test and then you get promoted. I think I had to have a 26 to advance. I scored like a 61. It's at an 80-point scale, so pretty good.
Absolutely.
is acing. When I made chief, it was very competitive. Even to just get your paperwork to the board, you had to cut high 60s. I cut a 74 the year I made chief, 72. I don't know. It was a long time ago. Was it 2022? 13 years ago, 14 years ago?
Well, it's coming up on 22.
Feels like forever. So what else we got? So yeah, it's like a brotherhood. Like when I got back last Thursday, if you're joining late, I had lunch with the newest chief class. I think they're class 128, 129. It's not important to you. I gotta do the math. It's 128. It's from 1893 on, so count ahead from 1893. 1893 is 1. 2021 is 128. So yeah, all these old goats were there, and I had a couple buddies that I went through with. Most of us are either retired or on our way to retirement. There's only one guy left on base that's still active, Ivan Delgado. He's the only one of our class that's left in.
It's still doing it.
Yeah. Well, it's still doing it here.
Yeah.
There's a few more that are still in. Charlie Summers, and they're all Master Chiefs now. Well, Ivan's not. I was just a scrubby 8. But yeah, it's a brotherhood. It's like when you pick up right where you left off.
Mm-hmm. There's a wreck somewhere. You can hear the sirens.
Yeah, there always is. People ask, what do you miss most about the military? It's the people. The job is a job.
Sure.
The mission is a mission. But the people are so much different.
Right.
You're all working towards a common goal, towards a common good. That makes, if you have to work 6 hours or 22 hours to get the plane ready for tomorrow, you do what you got to do. You work together.
Do what you got to do.
Yikes, is that you?
Yeah. It's just a text.
So, yeah, that's what I miss the most. I don't miss the grind. I miss the travel, but it's the people that I miss traveling with. Wasn't even necessarily the destination. Yeah, I got to go to a lot of places and see a lot of cool things.
Right.
But it's more about the people than it was about the destination.
Well, I mean, I think the idea of it being about the people applies to so many things in our life. I mean, The job is just a job wherever you go. It's the people that make the difference. Now, people can make it great and people can make it bad, but it's always about the people. I think we get caught up in a lot of things that we try to make a substitute for relationships.
Mm-hmm.
But relationships are what we are wired for.
Yeah.
It's what we're wired to have.
Close personal contact.
And if that were not true, Adam wouldn't have had it, wouldn't have needed Eve. But because it wasn't good for man to be alone, we're wired for relationships. Mm-hmm. And so we can try to make all kinds of different substitutes for things. But at the end of the day, it's still about a relationship.
Yeah.
And, the cool places or the cool trips or the, cool whatever doesn't substitute for the relationships that you build.
Well, I think, you can kind of equate it to a mission trip. When you go to a mission trip, you have one idea in mind of what you're going to do and how it's going to work out.
Sure.
When you get there, the missionary says, all right, we can do everything except talk about Jesus. What do you mean we can't? Why am I here if we can't talk about Jesus?
Right.
What do you mean I can't share the gospel? Okay, so what do we do? You get to know people.
Right.
You build relationships.
Right.
So that when you leave and the time is right, I can talk to them about Jesus.
Right. And that's hard for us sometimes because we get very project oriented.
Exactly.
I want to fix this project. I want to do this project. And we have to be careful about that because it needs to be personal, not project oriented. You know, you need to be building that relationship, you know. I see that. I see it in a lot of places. I mean, my context tends to fall a lot inside church, but I see that in church a lot where people are all about fixing somebody, or this is our next project.
Right.
And that person may not realize they're the project, but for them, it's the project. So they don't know them. They only know them to the depth that they can fix them.
They know about them.
Yeah, because they just want to fix them. And which tends to be fix them in the way they think they should be, instead of encouraging them to be all that they were already designed to be. And that's a big difference.
It's a huge difference.
Because
because our ideas are different than what God's ideas are.
Oh, absolutely. And who's to say that what I think you should do in your personal life to fix the dumpster fire that it is what it should be? First of all, who am I to tell you that your life is a dumpster fire? I should let you come to that conclusion. It's not for me to tell you that.
Right. You need to realize you need Jesus, because me telling you need Jesus just
Right.
drives you away.
You know, whether it's Jesus or just other things, you know, we tend to be project oriented in our scheme. So
Scheme, what a word.
But I mean, it is relationships, and you know,
It's all relationships.
the brotherhood that you felt in the Navy, and you still feel in the Navy.
Oh yeah,
you know,
I have friends from my first squadron still.
You know, the question, you know, and there's always going to be that group you came in with will be of the greatest relationship that you will have. But you know, you can also have friendships and relationships in other classes too. And I think that deepens and broadens. I think it's interesting that they have an E5 and E6 that'll train the O 1, 2s, and 3s. And it's like it bridges a gap that could easily become, well, I mean, I see it in TV, I read it in books, that there is that schism between, you know, who the officers think they are, and you know,
there is. But ultimately, if you have number one, if you have a good commanding officer that had a good experience with the Chief's Mess,
right,
then they're going to push for that relationship between officer and enlisted.
Right.
Junior officer and senior enlisted. Right. 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3. Right. The 9s usually train the 8s, the 8s train the 7s, and the 3s, 2s, and 1s, and the 7s train the 3, 2s, and 1s. The 9s are generally working with the 04s, 05s because they're the ones that are captaining the squadron or the unit, whatever it is. So usually that relationship is really strong. If you have a good strong relationship between your command master chief and your commanding officer, you're going to have a good squadron. And so you don't make command master chief without being of the highest quality.
Sure.
You don't make 05, 06 without being of the highest quality. So, yeah. Now you're making me miss the Navy. All right, we got a lot of comments here.
There's Dave, thank you. That's because you're old. I'm not old, Laura. You're old. Thank you, Miss Norma. Thank you, Kay.
Norma, you couldn't have said that any better. Life is a mission trip for a believer. Our whole entire life should be about sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Yep.
In all that we say and all that we do and how we act and how we interact, the relationships that we build.
And I think that for a lot of people in church life, I think that we need to help them understand what that means, because when we talk about sharing the gospel, a lot of people have a singular moment in mind.
Yeah.
Evangelism is not only the singular moment of the gospel presentation. Evangelism is way broader than that. Evangelism's way broader than that. It encompasses the first handshake,
Yeah.
the first hello. Are you in every way possible in from stranger to best friend? Are you anticipating an opportunity? Are you living the gospel before you talk about the gospel? And I think if we would take evangelism to its broader understanding, that new people come into church, or we have 150 teenagers on the campus, and most of them aren't going to know Jesus. If we would take the perception that by my befriending them or loving them or getting to know them on a personal level, is a form and the beginning stages of evangelism, then we might actually be more well known in our community than we are.
You have to build relationships.
And I think you're not going to change a community as long as you view the community as your project to fix. But if you'll view the community as full of people who need love and support, then that's an evangelistic perspective and not a project perspective. And I think that's a critical component for any church in any community, not just ours. That it's got to be, you have to be aware of those things.
Yeah, Jesus said it best. People don't go to a doctor because they're well.
No, they don't. They don't. And
he didn't come for those that already know. He came for the sinners. Yeah, those are Jesus's words, not mine.
Yeah. I don't get an opinion on that.
No.
That's just what Jesus said.
That's what Jesus said, and that's what I believe. It's not my job to.
Yeah, let's not second guess Jesus.
It's not a good idea.
It's not usually a good moment.
As they say, it's below average in head work.
Oh, right.
Below average in head work. All right. Well, I do have some projects going on today.
Yes.
So
yes.
I just got a call from Dalby Enterprises.
Yep.
So
I got a text from Angela, who will be in Saturday morning at 10 o'clock for a meet and greet. And then
10 to 12.
10 to 12. Yeah. And then we will, she'll be over with us in church on Sunday and share her testimony. And then we'll vote on her as a candidate for our childhood ministry position. So,
pretty exciting times.
Yes, it is. It is. So a lot going on around this joint these days. So
it's good. It's good. Be active.
Absolutely.
If you haven't yet, sign your young ones up for Breakfast with Santa. The youth are excited about being food runners.
Oh, good. Yep. We've got all kinds of things prepping for that. So it's gonna be a great opportunity to build relationships with those. I mean, I've got around 80 already signed up for this thing to attend it, not work it, but to attend it. And so here's a great opportunity just to love on some families and be a part of what is just a fun moment in their life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but at the same time, we can just plant a seed of hope and a relationship, and we let God do the rest,
do the cultivating.
But we have to at least turn the soil over, and we've got to do our part so that He will then do His part. So it's a process, that's for sure. So, but we're excited. It's going to be a good time. December 11th. That's going to happen.
It's a month away.
It's a month away. Month from today. So
get your kids. If you don't have kids, come sling a pancake with me.
That's right. If you want to come help, feel free to go to fbccrowley.org for sign up to attend Breakfast with Santa. And if you receive emails from us, you have already received the volunteer link that you can sign up for that. So still need quite a few volunteers and in quite a few places. So there can always just have more in every place than we have right now. I have the bare bones, but I'd like to have double and triple backlog on that so that we make sure everything's covered. So
many hands make light work.
Best foot forward is what we need to do. So all right.
Love you guys. I'm going to get my free haircut.
Thank a veteran today. So